Hello, fans of high fidelity music. This is DJ Reed looking at vinyl records, and I'd like to share some today with you. Uh, we're looking at 55 years ago uh, this month, where the summer of August, the Beatles were on tour in North America, and here's some of the places they toured this month, 55 years ago. Uh, Before the tour, they had already accomplished some big things in the spring with the Help movie and the Help album. And we know that the movie and album Help, it was uh, a big thing. But now it's the summer. We have they've been on a world tour. They went to Paris, France. Now in August they have come back to Canada and the United States. And in August 15th, that's just this past week, 55 years ago, they played at their most famous live performance at Shea Stadium in New York City. And that was August 15th. And then in August 17th, uh, they played in Canada at the Toronto Maple Leaf Gardens, and Harold Ballard, the owner of the Toronto Maple Leafs, wore a Beatle wig during the when the Beatles played their two concerts at Toronto Maple Leaf Gardens. And then today, August today, August 18th, 55 years ago, they played in Atlanta at the stadium there where the Atlanta Braves play baseball. At least back in that day, the stadium might have changed since then. I think it has. Most of the stadiums have changed over the years. Then they went, August 19th, they went to Houston. The 20th, they went to Chicago, Comiskey Park. 21st, they went to Bloomington, Minnesota. The 22nd, they went to Portland. The 31st, they went to Daly City at the Cal Palace. But the 29th and 30th of August, they played at the Hollywood Bowl in Los Angeles, California. And that was one of the big live shows in the United States at that time. The stadium was just packed with teenagers, and by 1977, Capitol Records had released the Beatles legally their first live album. So if you find that in a record store or at an antique store or a record show, buy it because it's very famous, the Hollywood Bowl. Today, I'm looking at 1965, and they had a lot of studio albums back in those days too in 1965. Here's one of them, and this is the Early Beatles. Now that photo that's on here, on the Early Beatles, this was the program photo used on the U.S. tour. When the teenagers got their program, this picture would be on the front cover. So it is a very famous photo. And these songs are early takes from their songs from the early days. And the nice thing about this album, some of these early takes, it was the first time on stereo. So when people had stereos was a big thing in the early 60s, mid-60s. If you had a stereo, a record player with a TV, these big speakers, stereos were very big back then. And so teenagers would put their, or even adults, would put their records of Frank Sinatra or whoever on their stereo console. and the sound was beautiful. So here's an early Beatles, Capitol Records, and as you can see, it's in mint condition, and that's the original Rainbow, and that is a Capitol Records USA pressing. So that is a legal Capitol Records pressing. Now I'm going to show you the Beatles in stereo. When I was a teenager, I got the stereo version of the early Beatles. And was I ever pleased to get a stereo version? Now this one is, again, a US pressing. This is on the Apple label. And it's just a perfect, beautiful pressing here. And I have actually 3 copies of this. This is a Capitol pressing, and this is on the burgundy label. This is a 1970s pressing. Get the right side up here. Of the Early Beatles album. And it's their early takes. And it was a very nice thing to have back in my day, to hear the Beatles' early songs on stereo. So it was a great thing. Mono was good too. And now the mono pressing seems to be the way to go with Beatle records. The Beatles actually like the mono sound better than stereo. But for young teenagers, they like the speakers and the stereo sound. And I was one of them. I just thought the stereo of the Beatles' early songs, like Please Please Me, Twist and Shout, Long Tall Sally, they were all fantastic. During the spring of 1965, after the Help album was done, they went on a world tour, and they ended up live in Paris in 1965. Here's one of the albums. And there's the songs they did. Twist and Shout, She's a Woman, I'm a Loser, Can't Buy Me Love, I Want to Be Your Man, Babies in Black, Everybody's Trying to Be My Baby, Rock and Roll Music, Ticket to Ride, Long Tall Sally. Yeah, it was all their big hits. And here's the vinyl record I have. In translucent blue vinyl. And as you know, DJ Reed loves colored vinyl. And this is spectacular. Very nice vinyl. Another record I picked up that has the greatest hits of 62, 65. Kind of in the same format as the previous one I showed you. It's on a label called Coda. And if you see that, they do very good records. Coda Publishing. They're European, but they're great. Now these songs, all their early big hits, Love Me Do, P.S. I Love You, I Saw Her Standing There. And then on the B side, you'll see more of the 65 songs. Act Naturally, Help, Can't Buy Me Love, Yesterday, Ticket to Ride, I Feel Fine. So it covers a lot of their early songs from 62 to 65, the 3-year span. And I was so glad to get this one. And I got this on colored vinyl. I think you can see it. Greatest hits on colored vinyl. So that's, again, that's a special one too for me. As I said, the Beatles were Help was huge. The movie, the album. Here's an LP of Help, and that's a stereo copy in I believe, yeah, this is England, Middlesex, England. That's a European copy. And this one's in orange or red vinyl, whatever you want to call it, orange. Kind of orangey. And there's their songs. Help, The Night Before, You've Got to Hide Your Love Away. I Need You by George. Another Girl, You're Gonna Lose That Girl by John. Ticket to Ride, John singing that one also. Act Naturally on the B side. It's Only Love, You Like Me Too Much, Tell Me What You See, I've Just Seen a Face, Yesterday, and Dizzy Miss Lizzie, the rock and roll song that John Lennon sings. So again, it's let me just show it one more time. I bought this at a record show for $35. So it wasn't out of range for price, really, and it's in immaculate condition. So I'm very pleased with that. And during the later stages, they dressed up kind of casual look. From the suits to more casual. There's a picture disc of the Beatles in 1965. You see their hair a little longer, more of a shaggy, I call it more of a shaggy look. Very casual Beatles, longer hair, but definitely more casual now in 65 than 64, where they're more primmed, neater maybe. But they're a little more casual. Some of the photos of some of the concerts, they got to meet Elvis Presley during that year too. So that was a big thing, the Beatles meeting Elvis Presley in Hollywood. And so yeah, it's very good, 65. And the next time we'll be looking at, I'm going to open up the modern and the old versions of the Hollywood Bowl albums. And we're going to look at Shea Stadium. We're going to look at the powerful album, studio album, Beatles 65. But that's my show today. I wanted to show some colored vinyl and some exciting vinyl today. And next time I'll be showing more of it. So I'm going to do it in 2 different parts there. And then we're going to move on to the classic album Rubber Soul, which is almost in 66 when that was released. So until then, DJ Reed saying goodbye for now. And we'll talk to you soon. Have a good day.